Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Safeguarding Intellectual Property in the Digital Age, Navigating Cybersecurity, presented by the Federal Laboratory Consortium for Technology Transfer. My name is Dr. Amy Thompson, the FLC's Professional Development Director, and I will be your staff host today. All lines have been muted to ensure high quality audio, and today's session is being recorded. If you have a question for the panelists, we encourage you to use the Q&A feature rather than the chat feature. Our speaker would like to answer your questions as soon as possible, so please feel free to post your question in the Q&A as you have one. If you have a technical question or comment, please feel free to use the chat as well. I now have the pleasure of introducing you to today's distinguished speaker, Cherie. And now I will turn it over to Cherie.
Thank you, Amy. It's so wonderful to be here today. I'm excited to talk about intellectual property. I am Cherie Griffith-Dunn. I'm the founder of Cyprotech Cybersecurity Solutions Incorporated. Intellectual property has become a huge concern. And the reason is because you're searching on a lot of different platforms to do your work faster. We invite artificial intelligence because we need the space to be able to do things quickly, and we need something else other than our brains to help us get the work done more efficiently and with more accuracy. But we're all afraid of losing our proprietary information. So we're going to talk about some different things that you can do to protect your proprietary information as you are navigating this new landscape of cybersecurity and AI and machine learning. You can go to the next slide. We have been in business for over 8 years. We've been working directly with the federal government and state. And as you can see, we are a certified Microsoft partner. We are a 2023 Catalyst Award winner. We've been featured on Times Square, and we are also a WBENC certified business as well as an EDWOSB certified small business with the federal government. And everyone in our company is certified. I myself am a CISSP as well as a Security Plus, and I recently received my certification in artificial intelligence as an analyst. So understanding the risk of AI when you're utilizing a lot of these new power tools that are out there. Some of the risks lie in your information is now being disseminated against other people's searches, right? So for example, if I want to learn how to create a tool that's going to make my company more efficient, or even make my job more efficient or easier to do, as soon as I go into ChatGPT, which we all love, it's an amazing tool. It can create your PowerPoint presentations by using the VBA tool. You can search up definitions. It can give you plans of action. The techniques that it's able to provide you with are phenomenal. But every time you put in specific private information, it stores it in its machine learning brain. That's the virtual component of ChatGPT. Now, when I go to ChatGPT and I go to search up something similar, give me some information, the latest tools that employees at FCL have searched up, it's going to give me some of the main components that you guys are searching. So we're going to talk about things that we can do to help you stay safe and prevent your information from moving forward into other people's stuff. So when you think about AI tools, I just want to explain to you a little bit about what ChatGPT does. It's like a brain that sits on your desk. And every time you put information in, it is deciphering all of that data point to go out into the world, searching the World Wide Web, and looking for those specific data points that you're looking for. When it provides you with the information, you won't notice whether or not this information came from somebody else's website. What we've been able to give feedback on and how we've been able to help make searching a bit more secure is now they have something called Copilot with ChatGPT. Copilot is sponsored and created by Microsoft. Microsoft purchased ChatGPT about a year and a half ago, and now they're able to utilize the technology in all of their platforms. But they realized that a lot of companies had concerns about privacy and how we could keep it private. Is it 100% private? No. Can you get a chat function, a ChatGPT function to be private? Yes. It's a lot of money, but you can create dedicated servers that only house your information and allows you to search, and it contains all of the information. So what it does is it goes out into the web, it'll pull all the data in, but it will never let your data go out. Now, the issue with that is you could be getting copyright infringement information that's coming from the World Wide Web. So there's techniques to help you prevent that. It's all in how you're typing in the information. So you can ask it to ensure that you're not receiving any copywritten information, that you need original content, and then search the information that you're searching. You can even do that on ChatGPT. You'll know that it's working because it's going to be thinking for a little while, because it takes it some time to really go out there and try to find information that's not copywritten. Next slide. So when we're identifying sensitive proprietary information, what does that look like? Prior to this session, we were talking about how do you keep any of your presentations secure? A lot of us have projects that we've worked on for months, for years, research that we've done, and we want credit for it. We don't want it to be something that someone can just take away from you and now slap their name to it and use it. How can we prevent that? Well, excuse me. There's one way called the poor man copyright. And I will say a disclaimer, please always check with your attorneys prior to doing any types of copywriting that's outside of the legality of using the US trade, the trademark for your copywriting. The way that a poor man trademark works is once you create a presentation, a document, a formula, research, and you know that you need to provide it to someone else, but you're afraid that that individual just may take something that you've created and use it for themselves. What you do is you print that document out, you sign it, and you date it. You put it in an envelope, and you mail it back to yourself. You don't open it when it comes back, and then you just wait. If you ever see any of your personal information on a website or heard this individual reference your information that they should not be, you can then go to an attorney and get an attorney involved, and you can bring them to court. And then at that time, you present the envelope and they will open it up, looking at the date stamp and then looking at the date that you put on the document, and then have this individual prove that they had the information prior to you giving it to them. And if they can't prove it, then you win the case. The best way to protect any of your information, even phrases that you guys come up with. I have a friend who always had this saying. She would say Obamaism, and looked it up. It's not a word. It's not copywritten. No one had it. So she went and got it copywritten. So if you find a word that you're known for, or information that you're utilizing, like our name, Cyprotech, it's copywritten. it's important to make sure that things that mean a lot to you, you take the next steps to get copywritten. So when we think about, our trade secrets, protecting our confidential data, securing our proprietary algorithms, we really want to make sure that we're using first systems that help us remain secure. Understanding that once you put your information out, even in Google, there's some glitches that could allow your information to be leaked out. So you want to make sure that anywhere you put your information, it's going to be safe. The best place to put your information is to download it on an extended hard drive. Yes, go to the store, go to Amazon and purchase an extended hard drive for yourself. We call it the 3-2-1. You should always have 3 different areas where you're storing the information. You should have 2 actual hard copies of it. And then you have 1 place where it's being shown. This is going to help you secure your information and ensure that no one else has access to gaining access to your information. Next page. How do we, this one I love is, how do you establish clear IP policies and guidelines, especially in a company? And I always live by the fact that each and every employee in that company, you need to take ownership of the fact that you're responsible for the policy procedure in that company in order for it to run. So if you ran your desk, your job, as if you owned that job, then you would be really concerned about how to protect your IP policy and guidelines that are written by your organization. When's the last time that you looked in your handbook and read about what are the IP policy and guidelines that we have? Maybe they need to be updated. Did you raise your hand and say, I think these need to be updated? Are you really taking a stand to ensure that not only are you safeguarding the IP policies and guidelines, but you're also following them? So the first key is to define the ownership. That, I always say, is each and every one of you. The organization has defined some IP guidelines, and every single one of us need to take ownership. The more we take ownership, the least likely your information is going to be leaked, the least vulnerable you will be. Now, we understand what makes us vulnerable. A lot of times it's human behavior, because we have a lot of things to take into consideration. We're human. We have emotions, we have a life outside of our job, and we have so many things to remember, so many passwords to remember, that we don't always have room to stop and think. We have a saying here: think before you click. Stop. Think about it. Then click. You put that measure in place, I guarantee you, you will be one of those in your company who's a shining star. If we were to take a look at, do a 360 visibility of the company, to look at every single employee and identify the behavior that each one of you are doing, that individual who stopped, thought before they acted, would be the least on that list, possibly even with 0 contributions to the vulnerabilities within any company. Implementing usage restrictions. That's a hard one, especially when we have hybrid. A lot of us are working from home as we're doing our job. But have you ever thought about how secure your office space is at home? How secure is your internet service that you're using? We often think that we need to, as long as we are logging into our VPN, which is our virtual private network for our company, we're safe, right? Well, talk to your IT guys. I'm sure they'll tell you something different. They're constantly working around the clock, heading off all of the attempted threats that are coming from your Wi-Fi. Even when you're hardwired in, right? That was the big thing in 2020 when everyone was deployed home. Make sure you're hardwired in to your laptop so that we could get more of a secure connection. Well, we quickly found out as we began to do searches on the different levels of internet connections into the homes of the employees and realized, wow, if someone purchased the lowest dollar package because they felt there's no need to get the highest package because they didn't understand that the $200 package is where they actually offer a bit more security. No one knew. So now you have someone who has the package of $29 a month and they have no security at all. The only security they have is the security that they're working on through their laptop, and that's through the company. What happens when this individual gets out of work, they're finished with their job, they log out of their VPN, or maybe they don't, and they end up going to a website that they know they shouldn't go to, but they just got to check real quick. Does that ever happen, right? I just got to go and check this real quick. It's going to take me a whole second. The system lets you through. You go to that website, and that website is a website that has been hacked or being watched by a hacker. Next thing you know, that individual is able to get into your network. Look it up. That's how at least 60% of breaches have occurred in just the last year. And this is 2024. Establishing your monitoring and auditing. So implementing process reviews when you're using AI tools is really good. Again, use them properly and stop and think and go, should I put this information in that tool? Should I even be using this tool? Think before you actually use it. And then I know a lot of us will do things on our home computer because our work computer have a lot of sites blocked. Well, now you're creating extreme vulnerability on your personal self. Doesn't change, you just change sources. So you still want to make sure that when you're using your personal laptops, your personal devices, that you're also following these practices to help you remain secure. We know that FCL does a great job educating employees. And that's the first key, is the more you know, the least likely you'll be the person who gets hacked or is creating vulnerability for your company. When we talk about your information, there are tools out there that you can use to help protect yourself. There's something called iSpring Suite, and this allows you to truly protect your presentations with a watermark or a password. You can also do that just using the presentation, just a regular presentation software from Microsoft. Another example is, are you pushing read-only to your documents even when you're sharing them inter-office? Yes, when you're sharing it inter-office, right? When you're putting that document on your share site, is that document read-only? Does that document have watermarks? Does that document have your password in there? And then now you know you're physically giving someone the password for them to open it. And let them know it's inconvenience, sure, but it's for your safety and for theirs, because you want to protect your information. Next slide. Do we have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay, great. Implementing secure data handling practices. How do we keep ourselves in this line of thought process of really making sure that everything that we do, we are making sure that we secure? We're getting all this new information. There's so many new AI tools that are out there. There's a list that I will send over to Amy and team so that you guys can take a look. And there are really some phenomenal tools that are out there to really help you work faster, more efficiently, and quicker. Now, why do we want to encrypt any of our information? That's a process that I'm sure if you talk to some of your engineers or some of your researchers who are truly working on something that's confidential, everything is encrypted. And the reason that they do that is so that it's harder for a hacker to get in it, for anyone to steal your information. So is it worth it for you to learn to do that? Absolutely. Is it worth it for you to take the minute to find someone in the company who can help you secure that information, go through your levels of making sure that you are, addressing the right people, but you certainly want to be able to restrict the access and control of your information. The fewer people who have access to your information, the more secure your information becomes. So there's also, when you're sharing data, so we were talking about Teams. We all love Teams. It's so fast and easy. But Teams, remember, keeps a running tab of the entire conversation that you had from months ago. So how do you keep your information secure? Be careful what you write in Teams because it's visible to anyone who joins that group. I'm going to say that again. I know a lot of people in companies who have gotten themselves into a little bit of trouble because we love Teams, but anyone who joins that group, that means if I'm in your company, I wasn't even in the meeting, if whoever held the meeting said, let me add you into the group, boom, soon as they do, they get to see all the information. How do we prevent that? There are security provisions in Teams that when you're getting ready to set up a meeting, if you're the person in charge of setting up the meeting, you can actually put some of those security measures in place where the information doesn't stay, where people aren't able to use the chat. And if they use the chat, as soon as the meeting is over, everyone has to leave. It kicks everyone out. That's the safest and most secure way. Then we look at your comprehensive logging, and that's what's following you. Let's talk about what's following you. How many of you clear your cookies and your cache at work? It's extremely important. In my company, we have a rule at 5 p.m. before it's 5 minutes before 5 p.m. They will get an alert that says, go clear your cookies every day. When you do not clear your cookies, that means that the company you went to has the ability to follow you. It also means that if I was a hacker, that's how I can trace you and hack you, even in a secured work environment. Clearing your cookies and your cache is extremely important. Take your control back. Go, and if it's a Windows, go right up to history, tools, go down, look at your settings, go to browsing, go in there, and you can click. And I know people go, I don't want to do that because I'm gonna lose my passwords. I know, there's a way to do it without losing your passwords. But we want to clear the cache and the history, your cookies. And the reason for that is so that you're not leaving these breadcrumbs all over the place. When you leave a cookie, it's like leaving breadcrumbs. Think about just getting up from your desk and just dropping a piece of cookie everywhere you walk. That's exactly what's happening when you do not delete your cookies. Make sure you're deleting your cookies on every browser. Now we're using Chrome. We're now, and then we go and we're using Microsoft Edge. Maybe you're using Bing. Every one of the explorers that you're using, make sure that you're clearing your cookies and your cache. You may also do that for your personal. Extremely important. So I hope today that you go home, or if you are home, you open up your laptop and you get in there and you clear those cookies. And I guarantee you that some of you have thousands because you're not doing it. It's just something we're not told to do. And I know a lot of you want to know, when I go to a website and it says accept all of my cookies, and then there's one that says decline, am I still going to be able to see that website? Yes. But if you ever click to understand what you're declining, they're still tracing you. What you're declining is them taking your data and using and selling it to a third party. Oh yeah, that's another piece. When you talk about your proprietary information, if you could be in your Word document, creating all of your good information, putting in all your codes, your research and development, and you have your Chrome open and you are on a site that is being watched, they can get into your system if you don't have security on your system. And depending on how strong or weak your security is, if you do have security, there's still ways for them to get in if you haven't cleared your cookies and your cache. Because that's the vulnerability that allows a hacker, a bad actor, to get in. You can also take this device and clear your cookies and your cache. If you're using Mac, make sure you go to your Sapphire and you're clearing your cookies and your cache. Just go under Developer, go to Tools, and you'll see where you can clear your cookies and your cache.
We do have a question.
Nice.
We have two. So one is, so how, when you clear your cache, does that free up any extra space on your computer?
Yeah, so when you're clearing your cache, what it does is it's freeing up the lanes. So think of a computer as it like a highway lane, and cache is like stop signs. And so the more stop signs that you have, it makes your performance, it slows down your performance. But when you clear up your cache and your cookies, it allows your performance to move faster. It doesn't necessarily free up storage, because storage is going to be mainly used when you're downloading documents or software. Pictures take up a lot of storage space, but clearing your cookies and your cache will help the performance of your computer run faster and much smoother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And here's another one. How do you feel about DuckDuckGo? Does it help with privacy or cookies?
DuckDuckGo is a really good, it's kind of like it's like a virtual private network, right? It's a tunnel where you can go into and do all your searching. You still have to clear your cache and your cookies though. It doesn't prevent that. So what it does is it just adds a firewall shield to help determine if any of the sites you're going to are good or bad, and to make sure that you are not being attacked. But you still always have to clear your cookies and your cache. Anytime you go to any website, you will leave a breadcrumb. And that's just the way that the website is, our internet browsing history and the World Wide Web is created. Good question. Next slide. Excellent. So let's talk about the responsibility and ethical responsibility that we have. One of the questions that we get a lot, I was at Georgetown University, is an AI tool, can it be biased? Absolutely. And the reason for that is because you're human and you're an individual writing this code, and you're doing it from your viewpoint. And so one of the things that we try to do is when we're writing different codes to create AI development projects, we try to use different people to come in to that project who have different viewpoints and allow them to add in their information as well on how they speak and their experience. This allows us to have a broader way of receiving information. Now you can feel like your information is not one-sided. You can also, when you're chatting with these chat GPTs and you're trying to create these different presentations and programs and gathering information, you can ask it to, I need the tone of a scientist. I need the tone of a woman. I need the tone of a man. And you could give it the age group, the ethnicity, and it will actually provide you with that information from that tone. I will say about a year ago, it didn't really have the ability to do that, but it really does now. And so we can really count on, or I should say, enjoy the experience of being able to hear different voices. So disclosing your information in an AI tool, and when we're using it in our workflow, you're creating. So a lot of people, some of you have jobs now where you're actually taking, utilizing Azure AI, you're utilizing Gemini, you're utilizing a lot of AI components to do things without code, to make things faster and easier as you're creating and developing. And those are things that when you're doing those, we want to be cautious of spot checking, double checking, putting in fail safes. We always get this question, can a tool go rogue? Sure. All depends on how you create the code and what you're telling it has the ability to do. But what we do is we put fail safes in. So as a developer, you're going to put a fail safe in there so that you can try to shut it down if it goes rogue. So we talked about how to mitigate the bias. It's hard when you didn't create it. But once you understand that the information you might get is biased, the questions that you ask can help remove that. And it can also help for you to obtain better results. Just here's a thought. Whenever you're using any type of AI tool where it's searching for you, it's doing a lot of it's machine learning. So you're putting in information, it's learning your behavior, it's learning who you are. Think of it in terms of it now has an understanding of who you are, and it might give you information that is one-sided because it's trying to help use your voice. So in order for, if you want to broaden the voice, then it's what you're going to put in. Here is a good example when you think about mitigating biasing. Go out there to ChatGPT and ask it to create a bio and put your name in there. You will be shocked at what it comes up with. That's the image that's out there in the world that ChatGPT found. You can change that information by now going back out to LinkedIn and changing some of the words that you're using to describe yourself. If you're using Facebook or Instagram, change some of the content that you have. You can even ask ChatGPT to find your picture, and it will show you the pictures that come up. That should tell you the power that these AI tools have. It has the range of searching the entire world specifically for your information, and it brings it back in milliseconds. Consent. I wish that we had a ChatGPT that asked you for your consent, but it doesn't. So it's taking your information. You can teach it while you're in the platform how you want it to address you, how you want to be known to the world, so that it can create you an updated bio, or it can create different information about you and what it is that you represent and do. But every time you put information in there, it's not asking for your permission to utilize your information. It's just going to use it. So we have to beware. Make sure that you're keeping any existing intellectual property under wraps, that you have a process or a policy in place on what you're going to do with that information and how you're going to contain it. And again, there's ways to ask questions without giving away everything, so that you can get more of a broad scope of what it is that you're looking for. Just know it's trying to please you. And so the next time that you go to search for that information, it's going to now build. The other thing is that if you didn't know, it can hear you. And it doesn't ask for your permission. But you can go turn that off. Go to settings, turn off sound. If you're on your phone, go in your phone and turn off the permission for voice activate, so that you no longer are heard. So that now when you go to Facebook and you start talking about cooking, you're not going to see these cooking ads come up. It's listening to you. That's the technology. So you want to make sure that even when you're at work, because we're talking, right? We're having a conversation. You may not be putting that information into the AI tool, but you're having a conversation about it and it's listening to you. So it is actually recording all of your information. Why? Because it's made to please you. It's made to be right. It's made to provide you with as much information as possible. So if you even thought that your information was under wraps, and then all of a sudden someone said a little something about what you were doing, and you're like, how did they find that out? Your ChatGPT was listening. So this is all about human. We need humans to run AI. AI can't run by itself. We need a person who can physically write the code, who can actually put the information in. So we know that it's not a replacement. And so we still need employees. We still need your gifts, your talents, your ability to put all of the information together. We just want to be smart about using these resources to kind of boost what it is that you're doing, do things a little faster, but fact check. Always go back and fact check. And what you can do is, once you have something that ChatGPT gave to you, you can give it, but you don't even have to copy it. You could just say, please fact check what you just provided me to ensure that there's no copyright infringements. and you'll be surprised what it comes back with. Excellent. Next slide. Great. So we can become superstars in using AI generated content. We can make our lives a lot easier. You can even create your own chat GPT, your own AI bot. We have Sapphire 2.0. So you could create your own robot that you want to do the things that you need. And it's pretty cool. And it's a really great project. So we did this as a project. We had divided people up, put them in groups, and said, let's go create a bot. And what they came up with, the winning team came up with Sapphire 2.0. And Sapphire 2.0 is basically our co-pilot. So it has co-pilot in there. She understands our company. She is under a secured umbrella. So any information that she is searching for, if she searches the world for, but she doesn't let our information out. So we put in provisions not to let any of our proprietary information out, and we put specific keywords in there that she cannot search out in the world. So she has to implement, just figure out what other words mean these things and go out and search so that she can provide us with the information. So you can do the same thing, have a lot of fun with it. Just monitor what it is that you're doing. Make sure that if you're having some issues when you're searching or you're utilizing any AI components and it's going slower than usual, it's giving you back jargon, like not great information, really stop. And if you're at work, report that to your IT team because you really want them to take a look at that to make sure that you are not slowing down because you've been compromised. And if you're at home and that happens, immediately shut your system down. Start it back up, clear all of your cookies and your cache, and then see if that helps to correct the issue. If it doesn't, then call your nearest cybersecurity team to come in and give you a sensor for a firewall on your computer. Continue to use it. It's great for reporting. It's great to provide you with what it is that you're looking for, but make sure that you're being smart about what's coming back to you. So remember we said, stop, think before you react. That's going to give you the best amount of content and security that you can ultimately have when you are utilizing your proprietary information and you're searching in a lot of these different AI tools. Next slide. So here's just some different ways on, again, we want to make sure that you're doing things the right way. You want to engage legal. Make sure that you're investigating, monitoring your systems for potential infringement and unauthorized use of your proprietary intellectual information. If you do find that it's been compromised, contact a legal counsel for advice. Enforce your IP rights within your company. Ensure that if you hear someone, that whole saying, if you see something, say something. If you hear someone talking about that they went and put something into an AI tool and it was their hard-earned work or information that they were trying to bring to bear, talk to them and say, hey, let's really look at how we can make sure that we protect yourself. Have you thought about, taking a few different measures to make sure that you safeguard your information? You can also involve the DMCA, and they can also help as well if you're working on a site that you feel has taken your information and you don't want them to give it out to anyone. You can also, file to have that stopped. And work closely with your AI tool providers, content distributors, platforms. Even think about it, our content that we put on as we are advertising, where we're advertising for trainings. things like that. Those are things that we put out because we don't put as much caution over words, but your words matter. They're your words. They came from you. They mean something. Protect them. Next slide. So let's stay ahead of the curve and future-proof your IP. We're going to do that by anticipating your trends. So monitoring the emerging technologies and industry shifts helps you to stay ahead of how AI tools are working and how the innovation is now going to help you and or hurt you. Make sure that you're adapting your policies. Regularly review and update your IP policies to ensure that they remain relevant and agile. This is very important. Continuous learning. Just keep learning. Learn as much as you can about how to protect your teams and the latest IP protection strategies out there. The more you know, the better you will be. And then collaborate with innovation. Foster cross-functional collaborations and open dialogues and with industry peers to share your knowledge. Don't be afraid, collect experiences, but use best practices when you're working around things that matter to you and protect you. Next slide. I'd love to open it up for questions. Molly, or Amy, do we have any more questions?
Not yet. They usually come in right when you say that, so we'll give it just a couple seconds here.
I'd love to know how many of you, since you've been listening, have cleared your cookies and your cache.
I have.
Do you want to share how many you had? Was it disturbing?
Yes, it was absolutely disturbing. I feel like I feel better about myself now that I did that.
Yeah, now it's like no one's looking over your shoulder. You have cleared out everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the browsing history, browsing data, privacy guides, third-party cookies. Oh, man. Yeah.
We're having a field day with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Here's a question. I have my browser set to delete cookies every time I close them down. Oh, okay. That's a good one.
That's great. So go back now in there, and you want to make sure that your cache is being deleted as well. So just double check. I'm one of those that love to inspect what you expect. Remember, the system is just a system. It can also fail. So make sure that you're also checking as well.
All right, we have another one. I feel like my company can use better policies on this as well.
Yeah, so I would certainly look into that. Go to usually your HR team are the ones who will put a lot of these policy and procedures in place. And it works just to go to NIST, and you can just get a short framework. Doesn't have to be something elaborate, but something simple as a few different steps of caution that each employee can take. Is something that they can adopt, and they can certainly do that at NIST.
We have another one. I cleared 290 megabytes.
Wow. That's a lot.
Now you're safe. How can you delete cookies without deleting your passwords?
So when you go in, if you look, I assume you're on a Windows. There is a button that will say to you, do you want to delete your passwords, and uncheck that.
All right.
And you can save your passwords without deleting browsing history, without even deleting your cookies, you can delete your browsing histories, your cookies, your cache, without deleting your password.
My cache is cleared upon closing of the browser as well. Okay.
Wonderful. So she must be, are you using Chrome?
She'll probably come back and let us know. Okay, here's another one here. I have a Mac and I am going through, it says go to safety check. Will that help as well?
Yes. And for a Mac, you have to go to developer. So when you're in Safari, when the Safari is up, the browser is up, you want to go over to developer, go down to tools, and that's how you can delete your cookies in your cache.
All right, and Jacob responded that they were using Firefox.
Okay, so now if you use Chrome, you need to go and do the same to Chrome. And then if you're using Microsoft Edge, you need to do that as well. So any new Explorer browsers that you use, you need to follow the same process.
You said your device is listening. Is it watching too?
Yes. So anyone who is working from home, what we did was we provided our teams with a cybersecurity kit, and in that kit has a screen for their camera, so that they can close their camera when they're not working or when they're doing lunch or when they walk away. So you want to certainly make sure that you have something that is covering your camera when you're not using it, because anyone can get in there and watch you. Yes.
We have creepy as a comment, and I thought that was an old wives' tale.
It is not, sorry.
If all the cookies in the world are deleted, how much energy would that save?
That's a great question for Copilot. I have no idea.
What about cell phones?
Yes, so cell phones, you certainly can clear your cache as well. I have an iPhone. So what you would do is you would go to Sapphire, and then you would click on the small a and the big A. And go to your privacy report. You can see how many hacks that they prevented. You'll get to see how many how many websites are tracking you. It's scary, but you need to know so that you can do something about it.
My organization will not let me download apps. I believe that is a safety issue.
That is definitely a safety issue, and that's good. You don't want to download apps, because what happens is, if you think about, we have found hackers lurking in TikTok, WhatsApp. They're in a lot of the different apps that you're downloading. So yes, that's a good policy that your company has. But you can do it on your personal. So that's why we're talking about this, is because we understand that when an individual is hacked, it takes you guys over 22 days, one, to figure out that you really have been hacked. And by then it's so severe that now it can take you up to 6 months to clear all of the damage that has happened to you personally. So you want to take these measures and also include them into your personal life.
Reducing cookie storage and rejecting new cookies should reduce the power needed for a device, as well as the power needed for the constant transactions and cookies between our tools, on our devices, and the myriad of sites that are able to access our tools and devices.
Very good. Yes. But you still end up, even though you reject the cookies, remember, they're still tracking you for their own metric purposes, to see where you are tapping in from. They can identify your location. They will know which pages that you went to, so they're still tracking you. So you still want to make sure you're clearing your cookies in your cache.
Ghostery is a good browser plugin to maintain privacy.
Yes, that is a good one. But also, we still have to be secure and not just go to any website. So know the website you're going to and what they're about before you go. This is
All
good.
right. I believe that is all the questions that we have. If we have any more coming in while I conclude, that's okay. We'll jump right in there. But on behalf of the FLC, I would like to thank Cherie for this informative discussion and thank all of our attendees for joining today. As a reminder, a recording of this webinar will soon be available for viewing on the FLC Learning Center. Visit the FLC website, federallabs.org, to view the recording or another webinar you may have missed. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day. All right, thank you so much, Cherie, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.